This message is being broadcast by the Department of Defense of the Republic. At 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, multiple unidentified objects were confirmed to have entered Earth's atmosphere. It is speculated that these objects are of extraterrestrial origin. The broadcast will quiet at this time for your safety. Continue to carry out the following instructions.
Hey everybody, welcome to Virtual HorrorCon. Thank you so much for joining us. Virtual HorrorCon is powered by Gehenna Gaming and also sponsored by DriveThruRPG, where it is the #1 place to get your RPGs, and Astral Tabletop, where you can take your virtual tabletops out of this world with this amazing, amazing platform. So thank you so much for joining us. This is the Cracking Open the Spine with DriveThruRPG, although we are joined by our representative from DriveThruCards as well, and we are going to be talking about our site. This is a really great panel for customers and people who are trying to jump into publishing. We have a lot of different options, and we have 30 minutes to do it. So we're very excited about this time frame. So before we jump into it, let's introduce ourselves. So my name is Meredith Gerber. I am the DriveThruRPG Century Publisher Relations Representative, which means I take care of the top 100 publishers over on DriveThruRPG. And Adriel.
Hi, I'm Adriel Wilson. I am the indie publisher representative over at DriveThruRPG, and I take care of everyone else. If you're a new publisher, you're going to talk to me. If you've been on the site for a while and only have a few titles, you're also going to talk to me, and I'm here to help you with whatever you need. Right?
Awesome.
And I am Brian Petcash. I manage DriveThruCards, which is our site dedicated to print-on-demand card games and card accessories and board game accessories for cards. And I also, even though I manage DriveThruCards, I am the card guy. So we have plenty of publishers on the RPG side of things that also have printed card RPG aids for their games, and I will work with them to help them get their files ready, to answer any questions they have card specific, to help them get their GM screen created and ready to go. Any card POD card thing, that is my bailiwick.
Awesome. Very cool. So with that, we're gonna kind of bounce off of that. A lot of times, most people have heard of DriveThruRPG. We are the #1 marketplace for RPGs, but we do have, like Brian stated, we have other sites. So to walk it back just a tad, our overall sites, like our big umbrella, is called One Bookshelf. Under One Bookshelf, we have things like DriveThruRPG, DriveThruCards, DriveThruFiction, DriveThruComics, Wargame Vault, DM's Guild, which is a community content program for Dungeons and Dragons. I almost said for Dungeon Masters, which is also technically true. So that's one of the big things, is that we service so much. So if you are watching this and you are looking to get into publishing, this is going to be really helpful. So we are going to kind of focus on like our products and some examples, especially talking about some horror themed products that you know and love. And I'm going to start with Adriel. Can you kind of give us some stuff about what's going on with like wanting to become a publisher, and also talk about community content if people aren't like ready to become a publisher and they just want to get into just starting with us,
Yeah.
that they have community content available?
So, to start with your first question, Meredith, to become a publisher on DriveThru RPG is super easy. All you need to do is on the main page down towards the bottom, there's a link that takes you to information about being a publisher and helps you sign up for an account. The cool thing about our sites is that your account works on all of our sites. So if you have an account on DriveThru RPG, you can log in to DriveThru Cards with the same account. It's easy, convenient, and if you run into any trouble with it, just email us and we'll be there to help. So to become a publisher, you set up your account, and then the first thing you do is do some reading on our publisher knowledge base and create your first title. And again, we're here to help. But if you are new to the RPG space and you don't have your own first game or first adventure that you want to publish, we have a ton of community content programs. Any publisher for their system can set up a community content program. And instead of publishing through our publishing tools, you don't even have to sign up for a publisher account. You can submit your work through your customer account. And of course, I would be really remiss if I didn't say one of our biggest community content programs is the Storyteller's Vault, for all of that wonderful vampire, werewolf, wraith, changeling goodness. You can create content for those games via the Storyteller's Vault site. We've got templates, we've got free art that you can use in your products. We've really set it up to be as friendly as possible to a new content creator, to a new publisher. And you can, on our site, like, there's a page that leads to all of the community content programs we have available, including Storytellers Vault and DM's Guild, and also a lot of smaller programs that aren't really small in our hearts. But like, there's Miskatonic Repository, there's Free League Publishing. We have so many community content programs, especially that focus on horror. And it just, I cannot encourage you enough. If this is something that you're interested in and you're kind of like, yeah, but how would I even do it? Talk to us, because we want you to get your work out there. I think I covered everything.
I think that's everything. If not, we'll circle back.
Yeah.
So we have RPGs, which is awesome, and we have a couple different entryways into getting on DriveThru RPG or doing community content. We have so many community content, so many. Speaking of, I would like to have Brian take over, because you do have something similar, as well as some discussion about new publishers and publishers getting onto our site as well.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. We do have community card creators that we partner with specific publishers to allow fans to build out their own custom cards for some of their favorite card games. One that's specific to horror is Black Chantry's Vampire: The Eternal Struggle. They've brought that game back. Not only do we sell their various card decks on our site, but we also have this community card program where fans have created, I think we're up to 5,000 or 10,000 different of their own cards that they print, and they have it. We print and send it to them, and then the player gets to kind of integrate it into their game and have their own card. Making themselves vampires, for instance, is one big way that people have used the community card creator for Vampire: The Eternal Struggle. We also have kind of in the same genre, we have a Doomtown custom card creator for Pine Box's revitalization of that game, and fans again get to build out their own cards, bring those into their games. With community content, though, it's a little bit different for cards than it is for RPGs.
Yep.
They are really, there's a lot of behind the scenes work to build those out. So we have a lot of considerations to think about before bringing on a new custom card creator. But for fans and whatnot, we have plenty of them. We have Boss Monster, Pathfinder, their first edition adventure card game. We have Button Men. I know there's a few others, the Spoils, Ascension. So we have all these ready for fans to use. As for publishers, though, it'd be best to contact me first to see if your game is one that would work best for our community card program. Different than the community content program for RPGs, which is
100%.
fairly easy to set up once you get going with Adriel or Meredith. Um, and then just on like how publishers use the card side of things, again, you could be on Drive-Thru RPG yet still have card products sold and listed on Drive-Thru RPG. So these RPG aids, for instance, Onyx Path, who does vampire and werewolf and all those sorts of horror themed games, they have their condition cards that they sell for the game. So you can get that printed. Fans can order that. They integrate that into their tabletop game. But they also have standalone card games that are horror themed that kind of fit on Drive-Thru RPG too. So they have Prince's Gambit, which is just a standalone card game. And again, it's this deck that once it's uploaded and proofed, it can be for sale on site. And fans order that, and we print that deck and ship directly to them, and they can play Prince's Gambit. But I probably think some of the biggest ways that I see RPG publishers use the print-on-demand card side of things is player aids. So certainly condition cards fall into that category, but also I see NPC decks. I see monster decks, creature decks of cards that just list the has a great image on the one side of the creature, and on the back is the stat block, and those are kind of allowed to be randomly drawn, for instance, in an RPG game. But also maps. I see a lot of publishers using both our card decks. Like AAW Games has some really neat dungeon decks, like 115, 120 card deck that you can randomly build out a dungeon because all the cards interconnect together, and you can just kind of build that map out as you play. They have pre-designed ones, so you can lay that out first for your players if you're the GM, for instance. But we also see, though, we have larger formats. We have 6x6 tiles, and we have 8x10 tiles, and then we also have 12x18 posters. And a lot of role-playing game publishers create map sets using those tile products. And even I know like Black Scrolls has some. And one of the neat things, the cards, especially the 6x6 and the 8x10 tiles, well, all the cards except one are finished with a low gloss UV coating. So you can actually use a dry erase marker on the map tiles to sort of like indicate where people are, erase that out, continue your game from there. So yeah, I think those are probably the biggest ways I see RPG publishers use us as far as getting content to customers. Um, Other ways that publishers use us, though, are promotional cards. For if and when we get to go to conventions again, they will print batches of promo cards with maybe a discount code or something along those lines that promotes their new thing, and they can pass those out. They might create unique cards that are just available at, say, Origins or Gen Con or whatever, and print 1,000 or 5,000 of those and just give those out at conventions. Or they print a bunch of cards out, and then for their warehouse shipped items from their own stock, they kind of blow those into their books and send it out in their own mailings that way. So promotional items, some custom card creators, decks of cards that are maps or NPCs or monster decks, posters, all sorts of different ways that publishers can use us.
And we're there to help you even get those discounts and coupons set up. So it's sort of a one-stop shop. Like you say, hey, I'm going to a con. I want a 20% discount on all my titles. We can get you that code and that information. Brian can help you put it on a card, and you're all set to go.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many formats, like so many, to the point where like sometimes I forget we have formats. Like when people are like, "Hey, can I print this on a tarot card?" I'm like, "Hold on." And I'm like, "Yes, you can," like cuz we have so many formats available, and the print quality is just so good. I'm always very very pleased with that. So, which is awesome. So, we kind of went over like for publishers and I think that in the vein of Virtual HorrorCon, we definitely want to take some time to highlight some really good horror things on our site. I think that's pretty important, to be honest, because we have this site and we should point to those things. So, Adriel, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
Can you tell me some horror centric titles that you
Yes.
would like to tell Chad about, and then I'm gonna super spy, like, get it on the website and post it into the Twitch chat.
Cool. Well, the first title I want to talk about is Thousand Year Old Vampire by Tim Hutchings. It's published by the Hutchinsonian Presents, and it won an ENnie Award this year, and it's just like the coolest looking game, and it's also very like traditional vampire, old school, and there's like so much in the book, and you can obviously get the PDF on our site. I love it, I love it, I love it. I have lately seen some really amazing titles coming up for the Trophy RPG. You can like just search and you'll get some great stuff. But another specific title I want to point out is Wicked Ones by Bandit Camp. It's like, it's sort of fantasy, but it's also very horror, and it's got science, it's got magic, it's selling like hotcakes, and it's just a really good book. Plus I really like the publisher. Like, they've been so wonderful to deal with, so highly recommend checking out Wicked Ones by Bandit Camp. And then I would be really remiss if I didn't plug literally everything you can get on the Storyteller's Vault. Like, if your jam is vampire, there is so much vampire content. There's modern vampire content. There's historical vampire content. Now, my love in the World of Darkness world, where what I started with was Changeling. There's a ton of Changeling content as well, additional Kith books. And I think that was everything I wanted to point out. But
Okay.
I might pop back in if I forgot something.
That's okay. Before I jump to Brian, I just got a text message from our coworker, Matt McElroy. I completely forgot to plug this because it's going to be awesome. So during drive-through, let's start that again. Back it up. During Virtual HorrorCon, sponsored by Drive-Thru RPG, is what I want to say, in Astral, we are doing a few horror RPG deals, and also horror comics deals and horror fiction as well. I will link that into the Twitch chat. This is only available through the convention, so we have some really, really cool things. Like, there's a Scarlands virtual tabletop bundle. They Came from Beneath the Sea bundle, Fey Noir, Dystopia Rising, Horror in the Windy City, which I didn't know was a thing, and Windy City is where I live. Heroic Maps horror bundle, V5 Chicago bundle. And also there's links to dark fantasy too. Like, we have, of course, Call of Cthulhu, Symborium, Wrath and Glory, Cyberpunk Red, which is our number one right now. And then comic deals. Oh my gosh, we have so many. There's like Top Cow, Valiant Comics, Caliber Comics. Oh, this is exciting. And then fiction, we have Apex, Indie Horror Bundle, Chronicles of Darkness Anthology Bundle, World of Darkness Anthology Bundle. So get to that link. That's so important. Get these deals. Brian, what are your favorite horror titles? Wait, Adriel, go back.
I do this to Brian in meetings all the time. Sorry,
we
Brian.
all do. We all do.
I forgot that I really wanted to point out the Never Going Home series by Red Ink Games.
Oh, so good.
They're so good. And if you like your horror with a military bent, this is the system for you. And they've just released a new title to go in the Never Going Home series that is called Never Going Home. Sorry, I didn't have it in front of me. I had the main book in front of me. That's called Never Going Home, Blood on the Snow. And I haven't had a chance to dig into it yet, but I am super excited about it. Okay, thank you, Brian.
Brian,
yes.
Tell us about your favorite horror titles on Drive-Thru Cards.
Yeah, thank you. Certainly Vampire: The Eternal Struggle, all those decks of cards. Some of the Doomtown decks I think fit as well. Onyx Path, their Princess Gambit game, as well as they have a deck of cards called They Came From Beneath the Sea,
So good.
which is pretty fun. Map-wise, I mentioned Black Squirrels earlier, but they have maps for all sorts of different settings. They have one that's called a cemetery modular map, which is printed on the 6x6 tiles. I think it's also available for download too. But all the map products are just so neat to be able to kind of lay out and interconnect while you're playing. Some of the I know Larcenous Designs does a ton of NPC and creature decks and whatnot, and one of theirs that I like, I think they came out with in the past year, is called Demon Hunters. It's like the Game Master's Apprentice Demon Hunters card deck for NPCs. Randomly draw some NPCs to introduce to your game. And just some of the aid cards, like the condition cards for Onyx Path, are great. For Eclipse Phase, we have um, morph recognition cards, I think for first edition, that are out there on site. There's a great newish game or new deck of cards called I Am Zombie, which is I believe it's a game designed by Mark Reinhagen, a recent one. And there's a game called Building an Elder God, which is a great one that has like tentacles and all sorts of fun stuff like that. And we also have like some poker decks and tarot decks that are really neat. Tormented Artifacts is the name of the publisher, and he has a deck of a poker deck called Ravenswood. It's Windrow Ravenswood poker deck, and it's just all his art. His art is just so interesting and intricate, and that's one I'm fond of too.
Awesome. I was actually going to say that specific deck was being asked about, so I'm glad that you rounded out back to that, which is good. Yeah, and that's just some of, I'm putting it in the chat. That is just some of the titles we have. We have so many good horror titles, and ranging in all sorts of different types of genres of horror, which is super awesome. And of course, like I said, we've kind of touched on it too. I mean, we don't just do digital. A lot of times people think, oh, it's just digital. I'm a person, I like feeling books, I like smelling books. I like being that guy. So I definitely, yeah, like I'm the one sniffing books in the back. This is why we don't have a booth at Gen Con, because I would just be like sniffing books. But definitely, that's kind of the nice thing too, is a lot of our publishers have print on demand cards and print on demand books. Some of our people have, oh goodness, why have I forgotten what it's called? A deck box, talk box, have tuck boxes too. And that's really cool because like there's all sorts of art on the back, like, and just, it's very, very neat. And Brian works with those publishers in making sure that they look really, really cool in those tuck boxes.
Before I worked at Drive-Thru, I'm still a part of Ninth Level Games, but before I worked there, we would order cards for demos and for early versions of games before they went into production from Drive-Thru, because the cards are so good. Like I know that working here, it sounds like, oh, well, they'll just say that, but legitimately Drive-Thru is the place that I would go if I needed oh my gosh, I forgot the word.
I forgot what tuck box. Tuck box.
I
forgot what tuck box was. And we talk about tuck boxes all the time because there's so many good ones. Yeah. Actually, Brian, before Adriel continues, what do you think is the best tuck box right now on Drive-Thru Cards?
As far as design goes?
Only one.
Only one. It's top of mind. So that Windrow Ravenswood poker deck comes in a nice tuck box with some of his art featured on it.
Awesome. Okay. Adriel, continue.
Prototypes was the word. When you are, working on your game, to me, one of the best parts about our sites is that you can get your book proofs and your card proofs and your map tile proofs at cost. So it is a really reasonable way to get your game in your hands and say, okay, does this look the way I want it? Do I want to make changes here or there? And it's just super reasonable, and the quality is really high. So that's what I wanted to really get across, is that our quality is really high.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
if
that's
I
go ahead. Go, Brian.
since we're on it, the prototypes, demo decks, publishers use the card print on demand a lot for that service. I mean, we have so many titles that publishers just print that aren't even sold on site, but they use this a lot for prototyping and demo deck creation. And one other thing too, prepping files for both books and cards can be a little overwhelming. There's a lot of specs to hit. You got to hit things just right to get the best quality,
Sure.
to get the best print. But we are all able to help review your files to get you to having the files that are the best, that will get you the best printed results. So certainly don't feel like you're kind of left off in the distance without anybody to have someone check those things. We're here to help you check that and get you the products that will look the best. So
We got your
certainly let
back.
us know.
Yeah.
Yes, send us your PDFs for review. We can review those and get you going.
Yeah, that's the thing that I always tell our publishers specifically, is that we don't, like, we're not just saying this because like we make commission off of this. We do not make commission off of this. So
Nope.
like, this is not a situation where we're like, oh, like if we sell 50 decks, like I get to eat this week. That's not like that at all. So we want you to do well. That's something that is so important that I want to get through to like new publishers and even current publishers watching this, is we want you to do well. We want you to make money. We want you to be successful. That's so important to us because it is, and you deserve it. So that's important.
We're sort of all here in part because we love games. So we obviously want you to do well, because we want you to make more games for us to play.
Yes.
Like
so
everyone
that's,
else in the world
Absolutely.
too, but also us.
that's the trade-off. So that's super important. So yeah. Ooh. Someone says print on demand cards are wonderful for all sorts of games. Flat, small, organized, portable, modular. Cards enhance my tabletop experience. That's the other thing too. I want to we have like 4 minutes, but I just want to pop that in. Something that is big on that too, and I know Brian touched on this, but I want to be vocal about it, is that cards don't have to be a card game. They don't have to just be like, this is a card game. That's it. That's on drive-through cards. You can do supplement cards. You can do monster cards, which is really fun to throw down on the table. You know what I mean? Kind of as whatever it's called, token. Basically making tokens and stuff. Also, it is wild what people have come up with. Just because you don't see it on site, the type of thing that they're doing. If you've never seen someone do a stat block card or whatever, you talk to Brian, and we can make it work. So that's super important. We're at the 4-minute mark, so we're gonna wrap this up. I am super thrilled that we got the opportunity to come hang out at Virtual HorrorCon. It's super fun, and we're just gonna do some outros. So thank you everyone for joining us. My name is Meredith Gerber. As stated, I am the Drive-Thru RPG Century Publisher Relations Representative over at Drive-Thru RPG. And also, you can find us, Adriel and I are doing a panel today. If you like to come hang out with us, we're going to be doing fantasy horror today. And that's at 6 p.m. I'm on Central Time, so I keep doing that thing where I see 6 and I'm like, 6 minus 1 is 5 p.m. But 6 p.m. And of course, obviously, definitely, I cannot stress enough the importance of Gehenna Gaming are doing 2 charities this year. Definitely donate if you can. If not, definitely spread the word. Super important and super awesome. Adriel, where can people find you, and where can they find you at this con?
So Adriel Wilson indie publisher representative here at Drive-Thru RPG. And if you have a question, you can email publisherservices@onebookshelf.com. It will come to me. And if it's not my question to answer, I will get you to the correct person. And at Virtual Horror Con, you can find me this afternoon at 4:30 for Crowdfunding 101. And then again at 6 p.m. on that fantasy horror panel, which I'm super looking forward to both panels. So yeah, find me there.
Awesome. Brian, how can people get in touch with you and learn more about cards?
It's Brian at onebookshelf.com. So email me any questions. So, and again, while I am the Drive-Thru Cards publisher relations manager and manage that site, I am the cards person. So if you have something for RPGs, even if you have promos for Drive-Thru Comics, whatever, if it's card related, I'm the person to contact. And of course, if you email Edriel or Meredith, they'll get it to me anyway, and I can help you answer any of those questions.
I loop Brian in a lot.
Oh yeah. Anytime someone says the word cards in an email, I'm like forward. I was like, it goes immediately to Brian. Brian is so good at what he does.
Yeah.
Yeah. And on that last note too, like I said, we are having a few bundle deals this weekend at Drive-Thru RPG. I have put the link in there. There's tons of discounts. So grab them this weekend. And then otherwise, we will see you through the rest of the con. We hope you have a wonderful convention. And thank you so much for joining us. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye. Thanks everyone for being here.